hey, the world's a tough place. No matter what, the world is a tough place. And I have to be ready to know that if I do something wrong, it could either cost me my life, it could cost me pain, or there is an actual consequence to go with that. And I think we're getting away from that. Remember, this is an opinion, I'm saying I think a lot. I think that the human condition as we are now is we're allowing social media to dictate our thoughts and how we're thinking and how we're making our decisions. We're forgetting that there are actual people out there that actually do things. So, can I bring it up?
Go for it. Yeah, this is it. We're done.
So, I think the root problem that I wanted to talk about was the human condition. Where are we at? Where are we at? As a society. Where do you think we're at?
We become more and more disconnected. Like, okay,
we're getting disconnected.
Yes.
Very disconnected.
Okay, so here's my little
Absolutely.
Theory that I've between TED Talks and stuff that I've taken in. My little theory is that the Internet of Everything has made it so that everything is just done through here. Mm-hmm. When we go to dinner, to the restaurant, we're not talking to each other.
I'm ordering my food through there.
Hey. They come up with an article where it's something called fubbing now or something like that, or fubbing.
What is that?
So, or I think it's called fubbing. It's PHUBBING or something like that. So fubbing, I think I'm saying it right. You might have to look it up.
This is new to me.
Fubbing is something that people do now, and it's a term that's come up. And I was like, "What the heck is that?" So I had to read it. So fubbing is when someone is talking to you and you go straight to your phone and then you start like messing with your phone while somebody's talking to you. Wow. It's almost like you're putting them, you're fubbing
a barrier.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm just sitting here on my phone while you're talking to me, but I'm really paying more attention to my phone.
Which, by the way, is very annoying.
Yeah.
I get fubbed
by the way,
all
as
day.
As a separate side note, anytime I ever go out to a restaurant, I don't have my phone out. Like ever.
That's a rule at our house. Like Jason and Marissa, when they have their phones, even me, like I tell them, call me out. Like if you guys see me with my phone, like sometimes I'll have my laptop out and I'm working and then we're trying to eat and they're like, hey dad, no electronics. So that prevents me from being that jerk.
Yeah,
but
I made
we are disconnected.
And I made my friends do that too. When we had time to go out with my Eric or Edgar and all the other former cast members,
fubbers.
That's like I basically said like everybody at the table except for me was all on their phones, and then like I called them out. Wow. We're at Buffalo Wild Wings, and I called them out, and then everyone just puts it away, and then we actually talk to each other.
And we don't have to go very far. That was about 3 years ago. We had a Thanksgiving dinner. We were at your old house.
Oh yeah.
And somebody took a picture.
Christmas.
I don't know what it was.
No, it was
Christmas.
But we had a square table. There was about at least 8 of us on the table, and every single one of us.
Picture on screen right now.
We put it on screen. We were all on our phones or our tablets, and
DSs. Yeah, my mom took a picture.
and
look where we're at.
Yeah.
We're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That's horrible. That's really horrible. Anyways, go ahead. And
no, but like, so my little takeaway from this is social media has made everything so much more insular. You become friends and follow the people that you agree with, and you don't. Yeah. It becomes an echo chamber. It becomes an echo chamber. So as everyone becomes more and more insular and echo chambery, you get to the point where there's a disconnect. Like people don't operate under the same facts. So, for instance, in the 80s, it was a bit of a monoculture. Hollywood and the press told us, here's your entertainment. Here's your entertainment. It was everybody was on the same page.
Right.
So there was a little less chaos as far as like a divide happening because it was a monoculture. But now everyone has like watches their own stuff, and entertainment for the most part it does influence how we think. I would go with that. Culture. So you watch, like if you watch the CW or you watch Fox or you watch NBC, you might a deeper reading of your entertainment will give you a different conclusion.
Right.
So as a result of everyone having their own microcosms, cultures, you have this lack of agreement between everyone.
So, kind of
That's
thing.
my human condition
Of
thing.
course,
yeah.
the human condition.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we're at the point where everybody's opinion has to matter more than anyone else's.
I mean,
hearing it.
Well, I definitely have to have a lot of likes on Facebook.
I
Or
gotta
else
have
I
to
ain't
watch
shit.
the likes on
Everybody has to
Instagram.
say something,
Right.
that, it's their opinion and it has to matter. And it's good. Don't get me wrong. Everybody wants to be heard.
Separate side note: this podcast, I don't have to go through a gatekeeper to put it on the internet.
That's true.
On iTunes.
That's true.
On iTunes, yeah. So
That's
just throwing that
a
out.
good
there.
So, I think everybody has an opinion about everything, right? So, does it get to the point where I have to watch what I'm saying? I can't really say my opinion because, let's just say, for instance, you had 1 million followers.
Okay.
Okay. And I came here to talk about my opinion, but yet, your followers, the stats of the people following you, you
And
know what they
think,
believe
yeah.
and what they think, right?
Right.
What if I start saying my opinion that is the opposite of what your followers believe,
I'll lose followers.
right?
Yeah.
So
I would lose influence.
isn't that like a little counterproductive to having a good conversation? Like saying, hey, you know what, you have your opinion, I have mine. Or are you only going to invite everybody to give you fluff to add to?
No, that's kind of what he's talking
No,
about.
that actually happened on one of my comments of a previous video,
There you go.
where Juan Vargas came up with a controversial topic, and then somebody on my comment section called me out on giving him a platform to spew his hate speech.
So it was a hate speech that
Yeah,
he gave you.
yeah.
Right. And so, and what? They,
And that I
you
shouldn't.
follow
That
it?
by putting him on my channel, I essentially, even though I don't actually endorse him with my words in the video, by giving him a platform, I endorse him.
Okay, so everybody has an opinion. One of the biggest opinions I have now, not opinion, well, it is my opinion. One of the things that I think is so weird is, have you ever seen a video where a parent is disciplining their child and they say, that's too excessive?
Yeah.
All
the
everybody
comments,
everybody thinks that, and I'm thinking, that wasn't hard enough. Like everybody's like, well, oh my God, she's beating his child, and I'm sitting there like, hell yeah, fucking go harder, and everybody's sitting there like.
Or you see like a video of like where the parent makes his kid like bash with the bat his Xbox and stuff.
Or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's abuse.
No, but I see these like kids being like spoiled and entitled and all this stuff. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And for me, it's like, okay, kids need to be taught respect for one. Okay.
Which that's in short supply.
Okay, they have to be taught respect, especially their parents, especially the people around them, right? And the human condition now is like, okay, I have my idea of how to discipline children, right? So therefore, it's faux pas to discipline your children in a very heavy-handed way. I think I saw somebody say, well, this was a psychologist or something like that, and you'd have to look this up, but they said that people that are disciplined with a heavy hand are overly aggressive in life. And I said, really? Well, that didn't happen to me. I'm pretty sure I'm not a violent person, okay? I'm not a violent person. I don't, I discipline my kids, kind of like the way my parents discipline me, but that's because I do it out of love, I want them to see.
And they know that.
And they know that. The way I discipline my kids is like, hey, before I spank them, I tell them, hey,
why?
This is the reason why I'm spanking you, and you're gonna repeat to me before I spank you, and they're crying. They know what's coming, and I said, this is how many times I'm gonna spank you, and this is why I'm spanking you, and then they have to repeat to me why I spanked them, and then I spank them. It's kind of crazy, right? So then they do that, and then after I'm done, I said, why? I asked them again, why did I spank you? Because I want you to understand. I want to make sure that you understand why you got spanked. And they'll tell me, and they're crying because I already spanked them, And then I said, look, and then I tell them, I love you. I just want to make sure that you know that I love you, and I'm doing it because I love you, and I don't want you to do the same mistake again, right?
Operant conditioning.
So, we as human beings, the human condition, we learn through pain, no matter what, no matter how you want to say it. Pain can come in an emotional form. It can come in a physical form. It can come in any type of form. if it causes you angst or pain, that's how we learn as people, right? So, actions have consequences, and that's all I'm saying. So I think that people kind of get away from that, and I'm not sitting here trying to tell you you have to spank your kids. You definitely have to figure out a way to cause any type of pain to your kid to know, that there is an action to the consequence. Now, some people will say, well, if I take away their Xbox, that's pain. That's painful. No, that really isn't.
Or their cell phones.
That really isn't, because I don't think it is. I don't think it's enough, to be honest with you. But again, just because I was spanked and disciplined, and I'll say spanked and disciplined. My dad was spanked us, and you know what? I had to go back, and I don't know. Maybe you were there. Maybe not sure. But I thank them. I thank my parents for it. I thank them for raising me the way they did, because hey, the world's a tough place. No matter what, the world is a tough place, and I have to be ready to know that if I do something wrong, it could either cost me my life, it could cost me pain, or there is an actual consequence to go with that. And I think we're getting away from that. Remember, this is an opinion. I'm saying I think a lot. I think that the human condition as we are now is we're allowing social media to dictate our thoughts and how we're thinking and how we're making our decisions. We're forgetting that there are actual people out there that actually do things, And it's kind of funny, because I was sitting here looking at the cool things that people do on social media. They'll post a photo, and they're doing some crazy cool shit, like skiing and out there zip lining through the forest. And
Best of compilation.
They're freaking skydiving and shit. And I'm like, whoa, that's fucking cool. And I'm sitting there, I'm going to hit like, And then I see they have like 200, 300 likes and shit. I was like, oh, damn, cool. And I hit like because that's something I would like to do, right? But as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I was like, man, this is something I would like to do, but I probably will never get around to do it. But if I get off my lazy fat ass, I could probably go and do it. But I'm just sitting here liking what other people are doing and shit, and I'm thinking, well, I can go out there and actually do it instead of sitting here liking what they're doing. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just throwing that out there. That's all I'm saying. That was a little long-winded, I'm sorry, but I'm just saying, actions have consequences, and we have to learn that from a very early childhood development, type of way. That's all I'm saying.
There's a big movement of a lot of people getting away from corporal punishment. Mm-hmm. I take my son to see a psychologist to help him cope with his ADHD, and the therapist will tell you straight up, corporal punishment, that's not good. That's not part of, and of course, me and my brother Juan, like we have a very similar thought process, and I have a video of exactly what my brother said with Jason the last time I spanked him. I had an interview with him prior to, explained to him why he was getting spanked. He explained it to me. I recorded me spanking him, and then afterwards, he was crying, and he explained to me why I spanked him. So I have that in video.
Or that time that you got.
So I will show him. I will show him later on, and luckily he hasn't done anything to deserve a spanking. Yeah. And I do it with love. I do it very controlled.
Yeah. No, you just take it to the next level.
I don't know. It's just kind of, I make him count off. Hey, 6 or 7 spankings. And make him count, and then
my girls would get more for lying, by the way.
So exactly.
Got more for lying.
Like most of the time with Jason, it's never the infraction that he gets hit for. He gets that he's lying about it.
He tries to cover
that. That's what he gets spanked for. So, but so he'll count down like, oh, all right, so 3, okay. All right, 4, and then I go, are we in 2? No, we're at 4 now. We're at 4, okay. So I do that kind of stuff. But what I want to say is that the one of the biggest movements, and I say movements because I hear this a lot at work. I hear this with a lot of people that I'm kind of close to, is that we don't spank our babies. We don't spank our kids. In Hollywood, you hear a lot of actors coming out that, they have different forms of, and I think there is different ways to cause pain. I think for example, the military style. You put somebody in a push-up position and here you lecture them. That's pain. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're going to wake up sore and they're going to remember, I'm sore today because I messed up and my dad was talking to me. What? Or they could get 2 16-ounce cans of tomatoes and hold them out straight out for about 30 minutes. They're going to be sore the next day. Their shoulders are going to be sore. Mm-hmm. They could be doing the wall sits, where they put their hand. There's different ways of disciplining your kids. And I think that each infraction deserves an escalation of that kind of thing. But let me tell you something. We have gotten away from that. I am guilty of that. Marissa, for example, she is sneaky. I think she gets away with a lot of things. I think I know that. Subconsciously, I know that.
She knows that
I made her do dishes earlier, and she was giving me, kickback. She was not wanting to do these dishes, and I almost gave in, but I didn't, and she did them. Okay, so when you walked in today, she was probably doing the dishes. I don't know if
she was very serious too.
She was mad. She was pissed off. So that's my fault. And here's the thing. It's kind of going to what he's saying is I rarely discipline her. But I will say that for the most part, Marissa, she is a good student. She is a good athlete. She is a good kid. But sneakily, I know for a fact that she does certain things.
She'll play her cards.
She'll play her. She'll play you. She'll play me. You know what I mean? And maybe I let her. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. But I'm catching on to it. I'm not gonna be letting her get away with it. And I've had a sit down conversation with her, saying, "Hey, I'm gonna focus more on you because I know that this is going on. Like I need to be more on top of you being a good person. You talked about this last night. Matter of fact, you said to be successful in life, you got to be good at these things. And man, I'm glad that you said those things, because I had a conversation on the way home. I'm like, look, I'm glad you heard it from him because I told you the same thing. Yeah. It's true. You got to be organized in life. You got to be a good kid. You got to be open-minded and have a good attitude, because in life, your boss is always going to tell you something. Your spouse is going to tell you something. Everybody's going to tell you something, and you have to have.
A hard place.
It is, like you said, it is. Yeah. So what I want to say is that the reason why we're seeing a lot of these violent acts, by the way, a lot of young people, is because we are desensitized to a lot of crap that's out there, and because our upbringing was cush. It was, we're going to take your Xbox away.
That's exactly my what I was going to go with.
That's been going on since the late '90s, and I think it's been and fact check me, but athletes like Adrian Peterson, Mike Tyson, there's other I can't name a lot of people. There's a lot of famous people that have gotten in trouble, and they were thrown under the bus by the media because they spanked their kids. And I saw the pictures for the Adrian Peterson case, and there's been many times that Jason has had markings on his butt because I spanked him. You know what I mean? And there's one time where I spanked him, and then he was kind of like and then I went at it again, and I got him in his lower back. So he had a bruise in his lower back. But it's not. I'm not a bad parent, and I wasn't abusing him. It was just that under the circumstances where I was pissed off, he moved, and and that happened. But I don't feel like I need to go to jail. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like I should go to jail. But I could tell you that the markings that I saw on that little kid, he was a 7 or 8 year old kid from Adrian Peterson, was very reminiscent to what Jason has had before, and it's. I
kind of scoffed at it, like that's it.
Yeah, because
I mean, it was bad. Don't get me wrong.
But people like Adrian Peterson, who's trying to discipline that boy, a young African American boy in today's society, he's going to prevent him from being dumb, from being a child out in society, trying to beat somebody up or with a knife or I don't know. I mean, whatever. He's going to grow up to be a good kid because his dad cared enough about him that he brought him true consequences today. And I told Jason, look, I'd rather you hate me today, because in the future, when you have your own kids, you're going to know that what I'm doing is for your benefit. And one day you're going to thank me. If your pride doesn't get in the way, one day you will thank me.
I thank my parents.
Me too. And I've told my parents the same thing. I told them, thank you for, beating me up.
So yeah,
to where I'm at.
So another thing I want to bring up, in the human condition.
Sorry,
We've gotten away from honor. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What does it mean to be honor? Honor means keeping your word. Okay. And I might be a victim of it. A lot of time, and it's kind of a funny anecdote. A friend of mine told me your word is your bond. So word is bond, no matter what. So you say you do it, it's the only thing you have in this world. My brother likes to bring it up with Scarface, and it is very true.
Yeah.
What was the thing that
There's
you
only
liked to
two
say?
things in this world that I got. It was my word and my balls, and I don't break those for nobody.
There you go. So if you don't have your word, you ain't got shit. There's only, literally, you can take anything away from somebody. You can't take away their word. If they're an honest person and they say they're going to do something and they do it, you're the only person that can take that away from yourself is your word. You say you do something, you do it, that's it. Nobody can take that away from you. You can sit there and do every single thing you've ever said, and when you die, somebody can say that was the most honest person, honorable person that has ever lived because they did exactly what they said. Now, I get in trouble with this sometimes because my wife's like, well, you don't keep your word with me. And I said, hey, I always tell you that I'm going to do something. I just don't tell you when I'm going to do something. so she tries to get me like that, And so I never put a time on it, but I'll eventually do it.
It's like when you told Jason,
2 years later.
Jason told me the story about when you told him, hey, did you tell mom when you were going to pay her for the light bulb?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, he told me.
Yeah.
That stuck with him.
Talk to him about that.
Stuck with him. So he's like, I learned something. I go, you better not do that on me, man. You better not do that on me, man.
So the story goes they told me that. So he messed up a light bulb or something, and
he had to pay for it. Or
he had eventually paid for a light bulb, and I said, but did you tell him when? Did you tell him when you were gonna do it?
And a light bulb went out on him, and he said, no,
I didn't actually.
So I'm rich.
Because I can do it whenever I want.
He came across some money, and yeah.
But the thing is for those of you out there, if you sit there, just think about what you've done in your life and how many times you said you're gonna do something. And that goes to a lot of things that you don't even think about. Your resume. You say, I'm there on time. Are you there on time? Do you get there most of the time, 99% of the time? I would say that's a good measuring stick. So if you're there 99% of the time and something crazy happens, because even me, I like to be there 20 minutes early. The only thing that stops me from being there is traffic. I wake up with plenty of time, and the times I've been late, all traffic related. Somebody get in an accident, and what'd you say?
And the snooze button. Traffic and the snooze button.
No, the snooze button never gets me. I set my alarm, I wake up to it no matter what. It's done deal. So if you say you're going to be there on time to a job, you got to be there on time. I mean, that is your word. This guy shows up on time all the time. Yep. That is his word. He's saying he's going to be there on time, he's going to be there on time. So just remember that. If you're sitting there thinking, I always do what I say. Sometimes it's the things that you don't say. It's implied that you're going to do something that automatically goes to what you're saying. Like being on time. That's an example, right? So
your word.
It's your word.
So Donald Trump, if you're listening to us, listen, please.
Yeah. So again,
Fox and Friends.
well, again, remember, think about all the things that you sit there and say, I'm a very honorable person. I do what I say. Well, maybe you don't. Just sit there and think about it. I'm pretty sure people will start, sniping the things that you do and you think that you're doing, and you're like, oh shit. So ask the people around you and see if you're a very honorable person and you keep your word.
And if you're guilty, don't ask, because
and this YouTube channel
hurt your self-esteem.
This YouTube channel is not an honorable person. I say all the things that I'm going to be up all the time, but
well, there's a caveat to that. Don't ask your spouse or significant other.
They'll call you out.
They'll call you out real
be
quick. Here, and then they'll take out this day you didn't do this. You still haven't done this, and then they'll just keep going on and on. You think you're the most shitbag person in your life. So
now I want to hear what you were gonna say.
No, I wasn't really gonna add too much to it, but other than just to say that you're talking about the human conditioning and how we're being raised. Yeah. I think I don't. I'm not. I don't play. I don't want to. I don't want to play the victim card here. But I'm not. I genuinely don't.
You know what my brother told me yesterday?
Oh God! Oh,
I know.
I just found this out like a month ago or 2 months
I
ago.
just found out last night.
What?
Yeah.
You used to get a freaking
$20 allowance.
Oh yeah.
Weekly.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. This is you guys were already moved out of the house.
It doesn't matter. That doesn't make it better,
We
Louis.
did not get an allowance. We paid our parents money once we started.
I started working at 15.
And I didn't. And then as soon as I started working, that allowance
After high school.
during high school. First off,
His senior year,
senior
last
year,
semester.
senior year last semester,
started working your
senior year last semester. Yes.
I told you.
Damn, bro.
No.
So late. I was in middle school.
I don't even know. I wasn't in a rush to start working. Let's just put it that way. I mean, that's no. I actually don't want to play the victim card here on this. I actually, but I think that I did I kind of did get. I grew up soft. Yeah. Like really, and I think that really didn't. It hurt me in the long run.
It did.
Like there was this opinion piece back in high school, like the actual high school newspaper. They were talking about how everyone's being raised in a Fockerized society. You know how like in Ben Stiller's character, he had like a whole wall of just like accomplishments, which were like a lot of them were like participation stuff.
Like the Fokker.
Yeah.
16th place.
Yeah. So I didn't know they give away
Participation award.
16th place trophies and stuff like that. Yeah. So basically, there was this opinion piece about how like everyone's just being raised in a like everyone's accomplished, everyone gets an award or certificate, and everyone's great and awesome, and like I've gotten so many of those types of awards and stuff. You even went to a ceremony to one of my summer programs, and you commented on how everybody got an award. I was like damn.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So the thing about, and this goes back, we're talking about the human condition here. We live in a society where competition is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's always good to be number one.
Right.
One of the things that we don't teach people is disappointment.
And
If you don't try hard enough to be number one, and you get 15th place, but you still get recognized, you're hurting that person in the long run, because as they get older, they won't know how to handle disappointment. That is my opinion.
But I'm gonna tell you
It's
right
almost
now,
factual.
right?
It's about social Darwinism,
I mean, yeah.
It's a survival of the fittest. But how can you be conditioned enough by the time that you're 18 years old and you're going into society where you're a true adult, right? You got to pay taxes, you got to work, you got to support yourself. How can you be prepared for that? Well, failures prepare you for that. Consequences, hurt, pain, like you said, prepares you for that. But if you are protected and and you're given certificates for being in 15th place, and you don't get enough of the real world,
Of course.
you're gonna grow up disappointed. Here's why: because you're gonna go to college, and
but college is also becoming safe zones.
You're gonna fail some classes, and your girlfriend's gonna break up with you.
Colleges are turning into safe zones.
And you're gonna be a weenie, and you're gonna go and get a gun, and you're gonna go to an elementary school, and you're gonna shoot it up. That's what's gonna happen. And I can tell you in two incidences, in Sandy Hook and also the one in Parkland, that's exactly, profile-wise, that's exactly what happened. The guy from the Hispanic kid that did the Parkland shooting, he dropped out of college. He was going through some stuff. He was jobless. And guess what? He lost hope. Anybody who loses hope, the definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So when you don't see past a certain, thing, you go crazy. You don't even care about your own life, right? The human condition thing, everything that you guys are talking about, people are weak. I saw it in the military. You saw it in the military.
I saw it on the military a lot.
People
don't know.
People were crying.
Yeah.
10 weeks into basic training, or what?
First day of training.
So it's kind of like what you're saying, Louis. We got to be tough on our kids, man. It starts at home. Yes. Our kids have to be disappointed. They have to have failure. They have to know pain. They have to know all these things.
They have to struggle. They have to know struggle.
Yes.
The struggle is real. No, and it really comes down to that. I when I'm talking about the human condition, I'm talking about the struggle.
Yeah.
So that is a perfect word. The struggle is real. You have to know what it is. If you sit in there and you sit there and just feed the kids everything they need all the time without them having to struggle for it, it's kind of like this. It's like domesticating an animal that shouldn't be domesticated.
And then you set them out in the
And
wild.
you send them out to the wild.
They'll die on the first day.
That is exactly the perfect analogy for it. It's we're domesticating our kids, and they're not learning how to fend for themselves. I think that's what
That's
I
a
think
good-
what it comes down to.
That's a good conclusion. That's a good way to
So
end
if Louis, if you were free to the wild, you will die.
Yes.
We're releasing in the wild.
You know, and you know, I think there's a
Hey, at least you acknowledge that you were, you know, solid. You know, you.
Yeah.
I think there's a responsibility there as
Shelter.
parents, you know, that where we have to push our kids to be tough. And I think, honestly, truly, yes. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Y'all got the better end of the raising, I guess. I don't know. The rearing.